Hi knitting friends, Shaina Bilow here. In today's video, I'm going to demonstrate how to work a left-leaning cable that is worked over 4 stitches. So sometimes this will be called a cable 4 front, sometimes it will be called a 2/2 left cable, and other times your pattern might just surprise you with some other way of referring to it. But generally speaking, it is a cable that's worked over 4 stitches where 2 stitches are crossed over in front of another 2 stitches to create a left-leaning cable as opposed to a right-leaning cable. Before we cable, I just want to talk about some of the tools that you can use. You can purchase specific cable needles, so little tools specifically for cabling. They're fine. They're okay to use. If you end up using this hook one, when you load your stitches onto the hook, load onto the shorter side and then you'll knit off of the longer side, just as a heads up. I happen to love using double pointed needles instead of cable needles when I cable because I can often get them the same size as my knitting needle or 1 size or 2 sizes smaller. They're nice and long so my stitches don't fall off and I can grip onto them pretty well. So that's what I'll be using for this video. Here we are, we're ready to work the left-leaning cable. Oftentimes when you've worked a cable, you'll have purl stitches on either side of it, so before you start your cable, just make sure that your yarn is in the back of the work ready to work knit, because cables are typically worked in a knit stitch. To work this cable, what we're going to do is take 2 of these stitches off, stitches 1 and 2, and hold them on the cable needle. Then we're going to knit stitches 3 and 4, and then we'll come back for stitches 1 and 2. So, to take these stitches off the needle, we're going to bring our cable needle down, like we're purling, that first stitch and slide it onto our cable needle. Then we come down and bring that second stitch onto our cable needle, and we're going to hold both of those stitches to the front of the work, like so. So these are leaning towards us here. I have my yarn in the back. I'm now going to knit stitch number 3 and stitch number 4. From that 4-stitch cable. Once I've knit those 2 stitches, I carefully slide my stitches to the other end of the cable needle, and I'm going to knit them. So I'm going to knit stitch 1 and then stitch 2, and you can see the stitches are nice and straight here. They're not twisted around, so I kept them very straight. We're knitting them off of the other end of the cable needle. And there's our first left-leaning cable. So let's work another one of those. I'm going to purl my stitch that differentiates the cables and bring the yarn to the back. Then with my cable needle, I'm going to slide purlwise 1 and 2 stitches. So half of my stitches. Bring that cable needle to the front of the work. Then I'm going to knit stitch 3 and 4. Now that I've knit stitches 3 and 4, I can come back for stitches 1 and 2, and I knit them off of the cable needle. Then I bring my yarn to the front and I'm going to purl my last stitch. That was the extraneous stitch, not part of the cable. Here we go. So those are our left-leaning cables worked over 4 stitches. Happy knitting!